much what we do as a priority. What we've also done with the Stride Professional Development Center is we've leveraged some of our expertise over the past 2+ decades of supporting schools and students and educators, teachers, principals. And we are trying to innovate, the way professional development happens for educators. And that we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where, it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique and innovative ways of delivering content.
All right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So Darren, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession. Just based on tenure, they're retiring and moving on. And then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with, increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are, graduated, want to go in the classroom and make a difference, but, feel like they need to leave within the first 5 years because it's so challenging. So we want to support them. Obviously, as a new teacher, your school that you work, where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you. But we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong start to their first year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways. Classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help, them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So.
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this. My mother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. I have my best friend is a teacher. Absolutely. So we understand. I've worked in the school system for years. So I understand the resources that are needed. I understand why a lot of these teachers do take the time and they sit there, and after going through college, they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Yeah. So we're happy to be a part of this to help you guys change that. So ladies and gentlemen, here's all you guys need to do. All you need to do is take a look and go to the link that's right below us right now and see what you're going to do. You're going to see 2 links on the page now, just to make sure. The top one takes you to their professional development page, homepage, that'll let you know about some of the things that are happening there and the things that you have access to. Go to the second link that says Teacher Appreciation. That'll take you directly to the content page where you can sign up and get your free year if you're a new teacher and your free 6 months if you're an existing teacher. Let's show them how we utilize resources, and we make sure that we take time, those folks who are HBCU alum, and use this. And let's see what Stride has to offer. We're excited about it. We know you will be too. Darren, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks?
No, I mean, just, as a teacher myself, and understanding the need.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, but we have none other than Charles Bishop. Welcome to episode 412 inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast that is covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live at KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, Charles, point man, how's it going today?
Doing well, Doc, doing well. I mean, we have a lot of stuff going on. We're entering that phase where a lot of media days are coming up, CIAA, MEAC, and then SWAC next week. So fun times, got a lot of stuff on the horizon here as football season is quickly approaching.
Yes, I will be in Norfolk on Friday for the MEAC football media day. Looking to try to get up there early, see if I can make it over to Roanoke to get into the CIAA on Thursday. Not sure if I'll be able to make that happen with all things going on, but certainly have scheduled to be there for Friday. So I'm looking forward to that, be able to give some folks some insights of what that looks like. May even look at organizing and doing a show to give you some insights on some of the coaches, players, like we did last year. So, inside the HBCU Sports Lab will be in the mix one way or the other. With that being said, what's some hot news on your mind today?
So let's take a look at this. As the SWAC announces a building naming ceremony date, the SWAC has announced the date of the naming ceremony for the building that currently serves as the headquarters for league operations. The SWAC Council presidents and chancellors recently released the naming of a conference office headquarters in honor of former league commissioner, Dr. James Frank. The formal naming of the Dr. James Frank building, located in Birmingham, Alabama, will take place. I'm not sure this date is quite correct. I think it meant to be July 26th at 4 o'clock. So I want to mention Dr. Frank's many noble accomplishments also include serving as the first African-American president of the National Collegiate Athletic Association, the NCAA. The naming ceremony will feature remarks from SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan, along with select league dignitaries, and this event will be open to the public.
It's pretty nice that they're actually going to do a ceremony. Obviously, it's going to be around the time folks and in that area for the SWAC Media Day. So it'll be interesting to see if they'll get people involved, ready to support that initiative. And that's when it first came out, you know, we said that was a pretty nice honor for the president there, former president of NCAA and former commissioner, obviously, to have the building named after him, and worked out well. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that all comes together, the pictures as it is unveiled formally. Didn't think about they actually have a ceremony, so that really adds to the announcement in terms of the lore of what's going on there. Pretty cool there. Let me get in and give some shout out to our lab listeners before I provide some different information here and see what different direction we want to take it. With that being said, Charles Edmund, Barrett Williams, Chuck Hunt in the building. Brother Timothy Johnson, Alpha Members Only, is logged in. Hadn't heard from Brother Johnson in a while. Good to see he checking out the show. Appreciate it. Barrett Williams, go Jags in the house. Tina V. Smith, Ricky Burke, HBCU Heritage Center, checking us out. Mary Allen says, hello, everyone in the HBCU land. Jerome G. Sutton is doing his thing. Brandon King, good evening, Dean, Brother Bishop, and the HBCU family. Tennessee State is checking in. Roderick D. Holmes, that's Dr. Holmes in there checking us out as he probably rides home today. Appreciate the love, Dr. Holmes. With that being said, they also announced which will affect HBCUs because we would have some programs that wouldn't necessarily get the invite, but it's going to be interesting. The NCAA has announced the creation of a women's basketball invitational tournament in NCAA.org. The NCAA creation of women's basketball invitational tournament will be a 32-team postseason tournament, which will be owned and funded by the NCAA. Will be held annually beginning in 2024, with the additions of the WBIT 100 postseason NCAA funded opportunities will be available for Division I women's basketball teams, equal to that of the men's basketball through its two events. Obviously, you know, the 68 field championship, and the women's side was recently expanded last year, and 32 teams of the NIT, which is where this is partner up, which you didn't necessarily see. You had the WNT, but it was owned by somebody else, and it didn't have as many teams. Fascinating to see where the NCAA is going based on, this goes back to the previous women's basketball tournament where they spotlighted the weight room and how it compared to the men's. And that study came out. And one of the things they talked about in that study, as you are nodding your heads, is the fact that they talked about equal opportunity for access. The quote, women's basketball is at an all-time high. It's being set for national championships. Final Four viewership in the tournament was the most viewed since 2009, end quote, said Jamie Boggs, chair of the Division I Women's Basketball Oversight Committee and vice president of athletics for Grand Canyon. Quote, this tournament will create an additional NCAA-funded postseason opportunity for women's basketball, and it comes at a time when we are seeing tremendous growth in the popularity for women's basketball, end quote. Good to see that this is happening. Certainly believe that this is needed in terms of the space. So I thought that was a good thing to see in regards to this opportunity and the fact that women's push for it, ultimately finding a way to make it happen, particularly after the study pointed out many things that can be done. Question to you is, how do you see this affecting HBCUs is the obvious question. How many more invites do you think will go out to HBCUs between, obviously, the two Division I conferences? Now we have 3 teams that are independents. One that we've known for a while, married with Tennessee State and OVC, and obviously most recently with A&T and Hampton in the Colonial. So there's an opportunity for them. Obviously, this particularly if they don't win the tournament championship, which would automatically send them to the NCAA tournament, which obviously is the first goal for any coaching team. But now it's an opportunity to continue the season, particularly with a lot of teams with really strong regular seasons, which we just seen last year in a lot of ways. Yeah. With Jackson State, that was not able to win the tournament. They did go to the WNIT, but now they have something directly related to the NCAA funding. What are your thoughts in this One thing, let me add on that to make some things clear that I may not put out there, probably should have. For those that are familiar with women going to basketball programs, going to the WNIT, those teams that hosted, when you saw Jackson go into Memphis, they actually had to pay to host the tournament. And the school had to pay their own money. And oftentimes that would end up in a loss. But now you can have some scenario where teams can host based on the records, but it won't be so financial just for an institution, whether that's HBCU or not. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, I think that's huge in terms of those teams getting an opportunity for at-large perks. I think that's the big thing that jumps out. And I think the article mentions it. I mean, the popularity of women's basketball right now is at an all-time high. I got an opportunity to see that up close when Jackson State went to LSU and participated in the first round of the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. And of course, LSU with their basketball program, the arena was packed, but it was a big time fervent atmosphere, and I enjoyed every aspect of it to be able to broadcast that game. But I tell you what, it is a great time right now for women's basketball. I'm glad they're taking advantage of the opportunities, and like you mentioned, NCAA funded opportunities, so that way it's not a drag on whomever's budget in regards to hosting going forward. So I think this is huge.
Good points made. You'll get a kick out of this. G. Boom Holly says it's too hot in Texas. Where's the AC in the lab? HBCU Heritage Center bouncing back and say, howdy guys. Just left Texas yesterday. Hot as hell down there in Round Rock, where he was.
It's warm.
Silas Moore says, good evening, everyone. PB in the lab. Anthony Brown. Mississippi Valley State checking in.
All right, Delta Devils checking in. All right,
go ahead, Anthony. Represent. Love seeing it.
Yes,
good stuff. With that being said, what is stuff on your list?
Oh, well, this is comes to us from HBCU Game Day. HBCU alumni give a six-figure donation for facility upgrades. Bill and Shari Jones are giving back to the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. The couple is presenting a $110,000 gift to their alma mater. The gift is for two separate allocations within UAPB athletics, with $100,000 for a transformative renovation of the Golden Lions football team locker room and $10,000 dedicated to the Golden Lions golf program. So the event will include remarks from UAPB Chancellor Lawrence B. Alexander, Vice Chancellor for Intercollegiate Athletics, and Director of Athletics Chris Robinson, Bill and Shari Jones, head football coach Alonzo Hampton, and golf coach Roger Totten, student athlete. So huge donation for the UAPB football and UAPB golf.
No doubt. Really cool to see alumni being able to do it at their level over six figures. Certainly going to be fascinating to see when you talk about renovations, transformative renovation for the Golden Lions football team locker room, updating that certainly is significant. And then additional $10K dedicated to the Golden Lions golf program. So shout out to Bill and Sherry Jones for getting it done for UAPB in terms of those six figures. Carol Keelam, giving a shout out to her. Karen Griffin, Tuskegee TU is here. Wendy Jenkins Bishop is in the building as well.
Got a little anniversary tomorrow. Shout out to Wendy.
Oh, shout out. Yeah. Happy anniversary to both of you all. Carol says, good evening, Lab PV in the house. Carl Edmondson, the Valley. Man, Valley in here coming in deep. Come on.
All right, Delta. Here coming Delta.
Or is that
I love it.
No doubt. With that being said, interesting things going on, particularly when you start talking about some of these coaching updates and changes. Lincoln University names Jason Armstrong, head men's basketball coach, removes the interim tag. It's always good when you get a chance to get that interim tag move, as its 23rd head men's basketball coach following his successful stint as the interim head coach to school announced Friday. Armstrong was appointed interim head coach in June 2022, succeeding 2 seasons as associate head coach, a 17-15 record, and an unprecedented trip to the CIAA basketball championship game, a first in the university history. Jason's demonstrated leadership, recruiting expertise, and ability to cultivate our young men into athletes were key factors in his official appointment, end quote, said Lincoln A.D. Harris Stinson III. Kudos again to Jason A. Armstrong getting the interim tag. I want to point this out before we take this break and maybe get some thoughts on this. Did you see the Adidas Grambling themed sneakers from GSUTigers.com?
I did.
All over social media with the logo on the heel flap there, on the tongue. That's fascinating. Shout out to Dr. Travion getting it done over there in terms of what was taken over there. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, anytime you get an opportunity to extend that branding of the university via sneakers, and everybody, there are a lot of sneakerheads in this world, and to have another sneaker out there on the platform, a platform that an NBA player debuted at the NBA All-Star game, Donovan Mitchell. So huge for Grambling in terms of extending their brand awareness via sneakers.
Yes, this is ahead of the renewed 5-year partnership that started July 1st. Grambling debuted as officially licensed Grambling State University Dawn, that's D period, O period, N period, issued number 4 exclusive colorway. See, this is the kind of thing. Shout out to Dr. Scott, Travion Scott. You said watch out for Scott when we did our top 80s. This is the kind of stuff that pushes you up that list. So we got to watch out as we unveil it next year. Don't be surprised if he's in that top part of the list. He wasn't too far down there. I just couldn't give all 21 like we did in football. We've been here all night. But these are kind of things that clean. I must say, other than that G on there, I like those. They look clean. I like a little more old gold, maybe that Alabama State old gold, Prairie View,
of course.
Gold. But that black in there is really nice and clean. So if it wasn't for the G, I could see myself wearing those. They just clean like that. Shout out to the black and the Grambling, and shout out to Dr. Travion Scott in all seriousness. With that being said, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll come into a little talk where we're going to get into some banter and discussion. We're going to break down the last 3 media days. This is the last time we'll talk before we get into at least one of them with CIAA on Thursday. So by the time we come back on Thursday, you'll have an update of what takes place at the CIAA. We're going to take a deeper dive, maybe look at some key players, teams, and we'll have a series of questions to go back and forth and what that looks like. Following segment, since the MEAC is Friday, we'll get in a little MEAC in the 3rd segment. And we'll save in the 4th segment, our last segment, we're going to talk about the SWAC. Because those 2 conferences will be had by the time you will see us after Thursday back again on Tuesday. So we'll take advantage and see if we can give you some of that information now. With that being said, stick with us. We'll be back after this first break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. With that being said, let's get in a little bit of CIAA. We do have some updates in terms of as they release the preseason. Changes come to the conference on HBCUsports.com. In addition to the news conference champion, being crowned in 2022, the CIAA Illinois changes with realignment. We talked about the new membership that resulted in the conference champion going elsewhere. The CIAA is a true all HBCU conference for the first time since 2008. The Shawan is no longer a football only member as it was for a while, but it still has 12 members because obviously they added Bluefield State HBCU back in the fold. Changes with the conference presented interesting and unpredictable outlooks for the fall of CIAA. Predicted order of finish for the North. Check this out, Charles. I'm going to start from the bottom and ascend to the top. Remember, unlike the SIAC that we talked about last week that went away with the divisions, CIAA has decided to stick with the division. So we have our proverbial North and South. Bluefield State has been added to the Northern Division. And so you have your 6-member Northern Division, and it consists of now, based on how they want to preseason rank, at number 6 in the North Division, predicted order of finish. This is not mine. Elizabeth City State, Vikings, Bluefield State, Big Blue, Lincoln, Pennsylvania Tigers, Bowie State Bulldogs. That would be 3. You are not counting with me. At number 2, Virginia State Trojans, Dr. Henry Frazier. Remember where I had them sliced. And number 1 is Virginia Union. Before we go into the South, we talk about that top 7. I had Bowie State at 7, Tuskegee at 6, Langston at 5, Fort Valley State at 4, Fayetteville State at 3. Number 2 was Virginia Union Panthers. Number 1 is Benedict Tigers. That's the preseason 2023 HBCU Mid-Major Division football poll rankings that we released over the last 3 weeks. Now, you want to talk about the North, or you want me to give you the South?
Let's go with the South now.
All right, let me give a breakdown on the South. Bottom, starting with 6 all the way to 1 in terms of predicted order of finish. St. Augustine at number 6. At number 5, Johnson C. Smith. Number 4, Livingstone. Johnson C. Smith, that's the Golden Bulls. St. Augustine is Hawks, Livingston. Yeah, Winston-Salem State, Rams, as you know. Shaw, the Bears at number 2. Fayetteville State, the Broncos, there are predicted to be number 1. Let me get into some of these lines of questions that I want us to kind of go back and forth. Before I get in these discussions, what are your general thoughts when you saw that framework? You heard me give you my top 7 again, just to refresh your memory for all the viewers out there as well. How do you feel about this predicted order of finish for the CIAA?
I think it's right on the money when you take a look at it. I think there are a couple teams that I'm very curious about, one being the Shaw Bears. I mean, Sidney Gibbs, I think, is one of the top running backs in this league. Anybody, the one offensive player not named Jada Byers, who I'm really interested in taking a look at in the CIAA. And then Shaw has one of the top defenses. You're talking about a team that was one of the tops in the conference last year with 16 interceptions. So they're an interesting team to see, can they challenge Fayetteville State. Of course, Fayetteville State, they knocked on the door until they finally knocked it down last year. So to see if Fayetteville State actually can repeat will be huge. Or can Virginia Union, with the best back in the league, finally go ahead and ascend to the top of the CIAA.
Good stuff. I'm going to take it off the football and go macro. We're going to go big perspective. We'll come back, go a little more insight in terms of your thoughts. And I'll share some in between as well and bounce some things off of you, particularly on this first one I want to get in there. I want to ask you, what questions or what do you want to hear from the commissioner Jackie McWilliams. You know, usually during these media days, you see the state of the address, if you would, of a conference. Particular. Last week we saw that done in the SIC. Now the first one up this Thursday is the CIAA. What do you want addressed? Questions would you like to see the media ask? Or you can look at it in terms of what you would like to hear illustrated to the people out there generally as they provide, in this case, the commissioner, she provides an update for the conference.
There's a couple of things that I think we kind of touched on it when we interviewed the SIAC commissioner, and I thought it was fascinating, the rationale in terms of why they made a change in their alignment, as opposed to going north and south to actually change the way they go about getting their conference champion. So it made me curious with the changes going on in the CIAA, why they chose to stay with their current alignment as to get to their conference champion. The other question that I always think is a fascinating question for me is when you admit a new school into the conference, Bluefield State coming back into the conference, what were the factors that went into it and how it helps with the conference brand? So those are a couple of things that just off the top of my head that I would always be curious to ask a commissioner.
I like those questions. Very good questions in regards to getting some insight in just the business of sports. Particularly, I'm sure a lot of CIAA fans would be intrigued about that question. I'd be interested to see what their questions are as well. I also have some questions that would be intrigued to me in regards. We heard SIAC and talk about the partnership they have with all four the Division II and Division I NCAA member HBCU programs, not forgetting about the HBCU NAIA conference of GCAC. But I would like to hear a little more her thoughts in terms of that partnership and how do the alignment of visions of CIAA, how much of that is in alignment with she has heard or seen or may understands with SIAC. Obviously, they have their own track that they go on, but what does that look like? Some talks about postseason, addressing some of the concerns with the postseason in terms of NCAA Division II. That was voiced by the SIAC commissioner. Does she have those same or similar type of concerns? And the fact that they both came together, at least what was reported, particularly by HBCU Game Day, HBCU Sports as well, that they asked the NCAA for a week 0 game. That was denied. And according to the report, was denied twice. In fact, I'd be intrigued about what that looks like from perspective. You kind of touched on this, but I want to give you another chance. When you look at the CIAA, or at least from this perspective, who are your teams to watch and why? And I want to look at it this way, if you would, Charles, because usually you talk about teams to watch are obviously teams that will be fighting for the championship contention, and you have all the freedom to focus on that. But are there some other teams that you're intrigued about watching because you're looking at their ascension in the conference, or the fact that they may be descending? You have some concern about this being a pivotal year, about them going in the wrong direction. And obviously, maybe this is the wrong way to put it, but I don't know any other way. Those proverbial bottom feeders. Is there somebody that's going to get out of that, or are they going to regress to the mean and kind of stay where they are? If you would go in any direction you want, as I loaded that question for you to really take it to that.
Two teams I'm keeping my eye on. Interim tag removed off of Bowie State's head coach Kyle Jackson. So where is this Bowie State program? Where are they now? They lose their starting quarterback, but they kind of slipped back to the pack a little bit after being on top of the CIAA for a number of years. Another team that I think could challenge Virginia Union right there underneath them is Virginia State. They're one of the top defenses in the CIAA. When you take a look at, they was one of the top defenses actually in the country. You're talking about a defense that forced 25 turnovers, including 14 interceptions last year. So Virginia State is another team that I'm taking a look at. And I mentioned it, City Gibbs and Shaw Bears. Can they challenge Fayetteville State? So there are some teams that I think can make a push at Virginia Union and Fayetteville State, but it's one of those, it's kind of interesting. This is a deep conference with a lot of good teams.
I like the way you said it in regards to moving around, the good points that you go there. I want to focus now on the coaches. What are your thought process in the coaches? Obviously, some people think high Dr. Henry Frazier III in regards to him. Least preseason picked at number 2, which makes for that Virginia Union matchup to be big, which is a question I was going to ask, but that may be obvious, and maybe you find another one that you want to check on. Mm-hmm. What are some coaches that you're looking at to kind of focus your interest on of what we should consider with the coaches of CIAA?
Yeah, I think you touched on it, Dr. Henry Frazier, a proven winner. We've seen him win here in the SWAC. He has one of those really, really good defenses. He finds some offense to go along with that Virginia State defense. They could be a real problem, and he knows how to win ball games. I mentioned Bowie State. They kind of came back to the pack a little bit last year, but now that the interim tag is removed, where can this Bowie State program go from here now that they are looking up at Virginia Union and Virginia State? So those are a couple of coaches that I'm very curious about in terms of what they're going to do this upcoming season. Probably a lot of excitement around both programs.
Good stuff. We're going to take our second break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to go into the MEAC, which Media Day, as you know by now, is Friday. So we'll come back and give you some insights and get Charles' thoughts on that. We're going to add AD Drew to the mix and really get some stuff to go bouncing back and forth to see if we can get some updates of what both of these gentlemen think about what should take place at the MEAC Media Day. Stick with us. We'll be right back after our second break.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall. Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.